Before I begin, I just want to offer a heartfelt thank you to my communities on LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube and Facebook for all your encouragement, your warm wishes, your incredible support through these last few weeks. Certainly, I could not have gotten through it without you. Also, thank you to my family and to my community at CG Infinity who've supported me every step of this journey. With that, let's get on with the show. I put out a LinkedIn poll asking, what would you like me to write an episode about? And Sarji Kanungo from CG Infinity replied with managing self-doubt. Good topic. Okay, let's talk about it. Welcome to It's Monday. What's Jonathan thinking? Before we begin, let's take a look at something.
Liz, hi.
Anna, don't know if you heard, but Jack resigned last night. In kind of a hurry. SIP isn't recruiting right now, so we're screwed.
So you don't need me anymore then?
We're gonna try to find you something temporary. Could you fill in for Jack at this morning's meeting?
At the senior editors meeting?
Just for today. You're the only one who knows Jack's entire slate.
Well, yeah, but
You're right, it's too much.
No, I can do it. It's fine, I can do it.
Great.
Okay, perhaps one of my favorite scenes from a movie. I know the rest of the movie is a bit controversial, but this scene, what do we see in this scene? I think it's actually what we don't see in this scene that makes it so powerful. You're watching that fight or flight moment where someone is confronted with something they really want, but are unsure if they can do it. It's that breakthrough moment where someone pushes beyond their self-doubt. And instead of freezing, they choose to ignore their self-doubt, embrace the challenge, and say yes. You can see maybe the moment where she freezes. You can see her mind going a mile a minute. Maybe you can imagine her inner voice saying, well, what if they figure out that I'm too young for this role? What if I say something stupid in this meeting? Can I even do this? No, I can do this. I've never done this before, but I can do this. No, I can do this. And then finally, verbally switching to her outside voice and saying, no, I can do it. I hope we've all had these pivotal moments in our lives, these opportunities that present themselves. Often they are opportunities that we have worked an entire lifetime to be presented with. And in that moment, instead of believing in yourself, instead of immediately saying yes, you freeze for a moment. You get indecisive, you become self-deprecating, and you either shy away or you move ahead. Sometimes self-doubt can be healthy. For example, I admire people who can take on the Tough Mudder competition or the Spartan race or any of those obstacle-based competitions. But me, I chickened out. I didn't trust myself enough to feel confident doing something like that. Using the psychological term, I had very low self-efficacy in my ability to do that race. In my head, I'm positive I'm going to get hurt. And if typically you can visualize yourself getting hurt, odds are you will get hurt doing that something. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy. But other times, self-doubt is unnecessary and may very much impact your career. It's in these moments where you do have the skills. You are more than capable. You are ready for the challenge that is facing you, but your own inner voice gets in the way and you freeze, or worse, you retreat. And instead of saying I can, you say I can't. So what are we to do? How are we supposed to manage through self-doubt? Well, before we go into some strategies we can use to combat self-doubt and imposter syndrome, let me play you this clip. No, not from 50 Shades. We're done with 50 Shades. From a TEDx talk that the co-founder of Atlassian, Mike Cannon-Brookes, gave in 2017. Hey there, Future Jonathan here. So I included this really awesome clip of Atlassian co-founder Mike Cannon-Brookes giving a TEDx talk about his experience with self-doubt and imposter syndrome. But the YouTube copyright team let me know that I couldn't include that clip in my video, so we had to cut it, unfortunately. The important bits were that he turned his self-doubt into a force for good and a source of strength. And also, he seems like just a really awesome guy. Okay, back to Jonathan from the video. I encourage you to watch the entire presentation. It's phenomenal. He does such an amazing job. I'll include a link in the show notes. So, to me, here's the challenge. Right? Clearly, there's a difference between the person who freezes and allows their self-doubt to control their next move and the person like Mr. Cannon Brooks who freezes and pushes through the next step to embrace the challenge or opportunity ahead. The key is to acknowledge that imposter moment, that self-doubt, and decide to, as he says, harness it as a force for good. The website verywellmind.com offers some really great strategies for fighting this feeling of self-doubt. It encourages us to acknowledge them, accept them, but don't allow them to hold you back. And finally, know that you're not alone. Most leaders operate on a rather consistent feeling that someone at any moment is going to tap them on the shoulder and let them know the gig is up. We've figured you out. But coming back to verywellmind.com, there are some other tactics that we can use, like sharing your feelings, having someone to talk to who can talk you through and hopefully down from these moments of self-doubt. You can assess your abilities. Instead of suffering through what you think you can't do or why you shouldn't, take a quick inventory of what you can do and why you should. Remember the phrase from the character Stuart Smalley on Saturday Night Live, played by the amazing Al Franken. You're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. Stop comparing yourself to others. It's so hard to do, I know, but every time you compare yourself to what others can do or what others have achieved, you will find some fault in yourself that fuels that feeling of not being good enough, not belonging, not being ready. Stop fighting your feelings, as I mentioned before. You don't need to quiet that inner voice. You need to find a way to harness that voice to propel you forward. Acknowledge those feelings maybe, but try to figure out where those feelings are coming from and push through just the same. And finally, refuse to let it hold you back. No matter how much you feel like you don't belong, don't let that stop you from pursuing your goals, especially when you know you're ready for them. Keep going and refuse to be stopped. These are just a few of my thoughts on managing through self-doubt. As always, I encourage you to share your experiences with self-doubt and maybe the strategies you use to push through those doubtful voices in your head. Make it a great week. Make it a week where you consciously check yourself in those moments of self-doubt. And remember, you're good enough, you're smart enough, and doggone it, people like you. Thank you for watching. I'll see you next week on It's Monday. What's Jonathan thinking?